the Tristan Law Show. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Tristan Law, Summary Tide Pro Wrestling. Today, I'm your host. Well, it's pretty snowy out here in America in the Northeast. And I'm sick and tired of stepping in melted, slurpy, slushy. But since we're all home freezing our asses off, I decided that, maybe we can just recap WWE Unreal Season 1. I'm sorry, Season 2. Now, last season, what I did was I recapped all of Season 1 in one full-fledged episode. But I decided, you know what? Let's not do that this season around. Why don't we just take the time and give every episode its own reason to breathe? For us to discuss and dissect each episode individually by itself. And that's what we're doing here today. We are looking at Season 2, Episode 1 of WWE Unreal. And Season 1 of WWE Unreal, it showed us how WWE works. If you ever wondered how WWE really works, Season 1 is where you would figure it out. But now we're in Season 2. Season 2 is doing something a lot different. And what Season 2 is doing for us is it's explaining a little bit of the who. A little bit of the... It's explaining... Okay, good. We're alive. A little bit of the who the characters are. It's not explaining the machine, like I said, because we already know what the machine is. We already know what the WWE is and what they do. What it's doing is it's selling the philosophy. So this episode of the Tristan Law Show, we're going to break down episode 1 of 5. This is going to be analysis, not recap. So if you didn't watch it, it's okay. You're not going to really miss anything. You might catch a spoiler here, but I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. But episode 1, it sets the tone. It sets the pacing and it sets the framework of the entire season. I've watched the entire season already. I probably need to watch the last 20 minutes of episode 5, but for episode 1 really sets the table. That episode, season 1, it's structured just like a wrestling match. And I don't think it's accidental because, it's a WWE wrestling show, all that. In wrestling, you normally have like the shine, heat, comeback, finish. In the shine is where you would establish like who the stars are, what the season is about. And in this episode, it definitely establishes who the players are. It establishes that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, they're definitely players in the WWE. They're movers and shakers in the WWE. But what episode 1 is really about, like I said, Beth and Seth, they are framed as the stars. Lyra Valkyria, Pat McAfee, they're the co-stars. They're not the focus. This episode is about permission. And as a wrestler, when you're thinking about it, what does that mean? What does that mean? It means that it's permission to accept the grind, permission to admire the sacrifice, permission to believe no days off is noble. This episode doesn't ask if this life is healthy. It asks, is it justified? You see, when I came up in pro wrestling, it was like, you can't really miss a day. If you're booked for a show and you were sick or, even if your arm was broken, you had a sprained ankle, still go out there and still try to do the show. Now, was it right? Is it the right way that we should have handled this? I don't know. That's up for debate. Knowing what I know now about pro wrestling, it's like, look, man, if you're over, you're over. But granted, it was just the whole thing is that if you weren't there, you were going to lose your opportunity. Who would want to go ahead and lose their opportunity? That's why you probably see a lot of ladies in the pro wrestling that don't have kids right? Because it's easier for the men to have kids. They don't have to stay at home and be with them, which I disagree with. Let me give that a buzzer, because I enjoy spending time with my kid and everything else like that. What's up, Fernando? Fernando says that Bruce Pritchard comes off like a huge dumbass this season. Okay, so we're going to be jumping ahead a little bit and talking about some of the characters that we see. And I feel that Abyss, Chris Parks, he comes off as a punk. Like, he just comes off as somebody who just wants to make everybody happy. Like, bro, like, they put you in a position because you're good. Go make the decision. Go do what you do. Go do what's good. But no days off in wrestling. You look at that guy, you look at that girl, that person, you look at who's the hardest person to work in the room. When you see people are talking about John Cena, what do they say about John Cena? Oh, John Cena did this. John Cena went over here and he, wrestled here. And then after he wrestled, he went to go on Good Morning America. And after Good Morning America, he went on radio. There's no days off, right? And I think that's what he kind of alluded to in his final WWE ESPN interview. Was like, that's the reason why maybe one of his marriages didn't work out. He worked too much. You see, when I went to wrestling school, the sacrifice and the grind was built into us, right? I've missed birthdays. I've missed funerals. I've missed weddings, all because I was already booked to wrestle. What's up, Stu? I was booked to wrestle. And if you called me and asked me if I was going to wrestle, I was going to, look, my friends I told my friends, you have to understand that if I get booked to wrestle, it's like my job asking me to work. I can't just request a day off. Yeah, I'm just going to go request a day off and miss the opportunity. Like, no, you never know. And maybe it's a little bit toxic, right? Just thinking about it now. Thinking about it, 18, 15 years later, 16, 17, 18 years later? Maybe I should have took those times and enjoyed the moment. But I don't know where I would have had more fun. Did I have more fun in the wrestling ring? Or did I have more fun, or would I have had more fun going to the parties? I'm not going to lie. I think I probably had a lot more fun being in the wrestling ring. But in season 2, episode 1, No Days Off of WWE Unreal, you see the sacrifice. You see the grind. No days off. Is it supposed to be mobile? Is it healthy? I don't know. Is it justified? If you are not there to be in your spot, there's always somebody that wants to be in your spot. There's always somebody clawing to say, you know what? Tristan is not there. Becky Lynch is not going to be there. You know what? This is going to be my opportunity. But then, thinking about it now, with my mature wrestling brain, with my I got a little bit of time on the job wrestling brain, if it was my spot to begin with, I can easily come back and take it so I can miss the opportunity. That's just what I think. Let me ask you a question about WWE Unreal. Do you, and I'm talking about this episode in particular, season 2, episode 1, No Days Off. Did WWE Unreal feel inspiring, or did it feel heavy? That's the question I want to know. Did this episode inspire you for anything, or did it just feel heavy, like they unpacked, like they gave us a load to carry? Fernando says, Road Dogg needs to get fired ASAP. It's clear that he sucks at his job. Fernando, let me tell you this. Looking at the characters, and look, I think that it's, I think the word might be double entendre. I don't know. It might be a little tongue-in-cheek, but pro wrestling is known for being unreal, right? There are very real aspects of pro wrestling, but pro wrestling is unreal. It's scripted. So now they give us a TV show on Netflix where it looks like they're going to be giving us 5 more episodes later on in the summer. They called the show Unreal. So are they telling us that the show is WWE not real? like it's just a show for television. I'm like, look, I'm going to ruin television for you right now. I know a couple of people who are on reality TV, and I'm not going to tell you who. I'm not going to tell you what show that they were on, but I know two people, 100% sure, fact, bona fide, the truth, that it was that reality TV is a flim-flang, okey-doke, and a scam. They are just there to give you the most entertaining moments, and some of it is manufactured and created.
Thank you.
Now you know the secret. So now that we know that, is WWE Unreal legit? Is Road Dogg really running around acting like the village idiot? Is Chris Parks, formerly known as Abyss from TNA, who's now a WWE producer, really unsure of himself? Or is this just the things they put into there because it'd just be really boring just to watch them just do their jobs really well? I don't know the answer to that question. And I think that is one of the things that makes WWE so interesting to me as a pro wrestler, because everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know how the rabbit is pulled out of the hat. And WWE Unreal is showing us a lot of the ways that they pulled a rabbit out of the hat. But they're not showing us all the ways the rabbit's being pulled out of the hat. So with this show here, Unreal, they're not going to be giving us all the tricks, but because a lot of people just want to be tricked, right? Everybody wants to know, but everybody likes to be tricked as well too. Like Seth Rollins and the injury, which happens later on in season two, a couple episodes down the line. I was there at MetLife Stadium when he made his debut. The building shook because everybody was excited and surprised and happy and not knowing what's going on. I'm running a poll right now. Oops, sorry, can't say poll. Running a survey right now. And the survey is asking, do you believe WWE Unreal is closer to being staged, 100% real, or both staged and real? And right now, it's a toss-up. It's 50-50. That's one of the perks is why you got to watch the Tristan Law show live on the 830 Wrestling Network. 50-50. Nobody believes that it's 100% real. I don't think so. And I personally don't believe that it's 100% real, but I don't believe it's 100% staged either. Do I want to know the answer to the question? I don't think so. I think I'm happy with what I'm getting. Stu says that he believes that it's a mix of both real and fake. Stu, I gotta go check out your channel. I've been really busy over the last 2 weeks, burning the candle at both ends, and I usually keep up with your channel. Stu's doing good stuff over there. Stu's Views, that's STEWSVEWWS. Check him out on YouTube. Good guy. Makes some really interesting content. But let's take a look at a little bit further at Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. They framed them, and I'm talking about Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, as dependable, as elite, as aligned with the company, and you get to see them in parenthood. They show parenthood in the WWE from a pro wrestler, and it's shown very carefully, right? Parenthood is presented as a proof of strength and not a competing priority. In this WWE, in this pro wrestling that we live in today, being a parent is okay. If you go back to WWE or pro wrestling of yesteryear, you'll hear stories of the old school guys telling you that they weren't there for their kids because they were out working. They were chasing the dream. Now, remember what I was talking about earlier? About how I felt like I couldn't miss an opportunity Remember, I was trained by people that were trained by people that wrestled in that era of where you had to be there, where you had to miss it. But the way that WWE makes it seem now, it's like it's not competing. You want to go home and be a mom and dad? Go do that. Go do that. No problem. WWE will be right here waiting for you. It's not going anywhere. And the way that the WWE's built right now is that they can pull people out and put anybody in. The second Seth Rollins got hurt, who did they plug into his spot? In case you don't know, the answer is Braun Breaker. So the way that wrestling is done now is that there's always somebody on the back burner just waiting. At one time, everybody was upset. What's going on, Maria? At one time, everybody was upset that Seth Rollins was just in so many stories. He wasn't so many stories, but then you can plug him and put him anywhere that he needs to go. Maria says that, what does parenting have to do with wrestling? Well, we are talking about episode 1, season 2 of WWE Unreal. And they really showed what it's like to be a parent in the WWE. Now, before, Maria, it was harder for somebody to be a parent, to be a father, even to be a mother in the WWE. Like, you look at people like I don't want to start naming names because maybe like Luna Vachon. Luna Vachon didn't have kids. China didn't have kids. And you look at some of the men, like Nature Boy Ric Flair. He would say that he was missing birthdays because he was out there stealing, wheeling, dealing. He was a kiss-stealing son of a gun. Stu says, being a parent while wrestling has got to be insane. Honestly, Stu, and Maria, thank you guys for your comment. Honestly, it's why I didn't have a kid when I was younger. In case you guys don't know, biologically, I could have had a kid when I was like 12. I don't know. I'm just making it up. Maybe 14, 15. I don't know. But I waited, not because of the, don't get pregnant early, classes in school. No. I waited because I wanted to feel like I don't have anything left to chase. Being in my age that I am now, the only thing that I really want to chase is just being a dad. That's it. I want to be a dad. I want to be a family man, right? My dream was to wrestle, right? And then my second dream was to wrestle in the WWE. I did get to wrestle. Never got to wrestle in WWE. You know what? I still don't feel like my life is short. I was a firefighter. I did traveling work for Walmart, working for the corporate office. I've worked at a radio station. I've done so many things in my life that if we ever sat down and you guys would be like, yo, bro, tell me what you've done about your life. I stop sometimes and I go, wow, this is all in one life? In the past 20 years, I've done all of this? I don't think that I could have responsibly been a parent and done that at the same exact time. I don't think that I could have been a parent and been a pro wrestler at the same exact time, because wrestling was the most important thing to me. Again, that's just how I was trained. Wrestling is more important. Wrestling, if you had a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, wrestling was more important than them. That's just how it was ingrained into me. And I'm sure that many old school wrestlers or people that came up in my era could probably be like, yeah, at a time it was. There may be some that say, you know what, it was that I was stupid for that, for thinking that. Because if you really wanted to make it, right, there were this many people that wanted to make it, but this many spots. So you had to be one of the 9, one of the 10, if you had to make it. We need that Tristan Law documentary. There's a documentary, that's from Stu. There's a documentary out there floating around. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll have my company 830 Media Group, shoot it and produce it. I don't know. Maybe as we get more followers, subscribers, and make sure you guys are sharing this out. Let people know to come hang out with us. If you know somebody that likes wrestling, this is the channel for them. If you know somebody who's getting ready to, or who kind of likes wrestling, this is a channel for them. If you know somebody that you know is out of love with wrestling and will enjoy WrestleMania season that's coming up, tell them to come here. Because I get everybody ready for WrestleMania. We burn ourselves out for WrestleMania. Fernando says, Vince McMahon made it hard for talent to have and raise a family. You know what, Fernando? I don't blame Vince McMahon all the way. I blame the culture of pro wrestling at the time. Vince McMahon grew up in the culture of like, yo, look, the show must go on. And if it's not you, it's going to be somebody else. If you would rather sit at home and not work, there's always somebody waiting on the bench to do your job. So going through, 1999, remember Stone Cold Steve Austin was still physical with a broken neck when he got dropped in his neck by Owen Hart. In today's WWE standards, that's not happening. That's not happening in today's standards. People were walking around and wrestling with concussions in the 90s, Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era. Look at those chair shots. They're unprotected. They said that you were a real man if you didn't put your hands up. Let me tell you, you were not hitting me in the head with nothing. Because I had to go to work on Monday. You were hitting me in the head with anything. Stu says that he wants to edit the documentary. You know what, Stu? You keep messing around, bro. There might be a role for you in 830 Media Group. There might be a role. But being a parent and wrestling, I think it would have been hard for me. I wanted to be selfish as a pro wrestler, to not have to think. And now, when I make a move, when I'm looking at, okay, can I stay with this organization? What's the schedule that I'm going to pick? You know, how is that going to work? I got to think about my kid first. I guess it's one of the upsides or the plus sides of being a parent. Like for me, I learned that the world was not just about me because I have to make a move. If I'm going ready to take a right step, I got to think, okay, well, how does this involve my son? If I'm getting ready to clap two hands together, I'm like, wait, how does it involve my son? How is it going to affect him? If it doesn't affect him, we clap. If it does affect him, hold on, let's push back and try to figure out how we can do it. Watching season 2, episode 1 of WWE Unreal, we're shown that Becky and Seth Rollins, that they're parents, but not really what the parenting costs them. Because, like I said, in this era of WWE, in pro wrestling, it's okay for you to be a family man. The guy running the show is a family man. And I think that Triple H is, and I don't know. I'm just saying I think because I don't know. I never met Vince McMahon. I don't know him personally. Same thing with Triple H. But listening to how Triple H does things with his family, like Triple H went on vacation last year and people caught him and they took a picture of him on a boat with his family. There's not one picture that I could ever remember seeing of, oh, Vince McMahon's on vacation with his family. That doesn't mean that he never went on vacation with his family, but he had a business to run. So he did that around running his business. Vince McMahon tore his quads and still showed up to work. He's the owner of the company. The guy injured himself and still showed up to work. If the boss can do it, you can do it too. Does WWE feel inspiring or did it feel heavy? Honestly, to me, it feels inspiring. As a wrestler, it feels inspiring. It makes me feel like everything is included now in pro wrestling. There are things that are happening in pro wrestling now that could have never happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Like Stu's question. Stu says, do you think a show like Unreal would ever happen? That's a question that everybody's presenting to wrestlers these days. Tristan Law, semi-retired pro wrestler, host of the Tristan Law Show. Honestly, I would have never imagined a show like WWE Unreal being a thing. Granted, there are a lot of pro wrestlers out there who don't like WWE Unreal. But you got to think that the cat was already let out of the bag. And I'm not talking about Vince McMahon going to states like New Jersey and telling them that pro wrestling is sports entertainment and not a sport, just so that he could circumvent the licensing with the athletic commissions. When you look at shows like Tough Enough, Tough Enough was the first place you've ever seen on television that showed you how to take a bump. That's what we call fall in the ring. WWE, WWF Tough Enough was the first place where you learned how to lock up with somebody, where you learned how to hit the ropes. Hulk Hogan had a show where he would teach celebrities how to wrestle. Screech was on that show. The cat was already out of the bag. So did I ever feel like WWE Unreal was ever going to happen? No. I would have never thought that was going to happen. That's way too left field. Am I glad that it happened? Yes. Because it gives the younger version of me the ability to have an idea of how the WWE works. It gives an older version of me an idea of how WWE works, because I too want to run my own pro wrestling business. 830 Wrestling. I don't know what we're going to call it. I don't know. That's way down the line. I know about producers or agents. I've booked wrestling shows before. None of that was different to me. You know, I've sat around and we have sat around here together on the Tristan Law Show, and we fantasy booked shows. And one of the questions I always ask is, and then what? You saw Triple H ask that question. Okay, so we do this, and then what? Everybody's got an idea, but not every idea is great. I never saw WWE Unreal coming. Never. Am I glad that it's here? Yeah. I'm glad that it's here. I'm glad that it gives people that's never had the opportunity to step into the ring an idea of what the back of house looks like. I'm not talking about what happens when the WWE is following the wrestler from the back and then to the ring. Even something like that is new. You never saw in the back where Vince McMahon and Triple H and all of them were sitting on live WWE television. It's usually, all right, we're getting ready for the main event of WrestleMania. Stone Cold Steve Austin's getting ready to walk to the ring. He's getting ready for a really big fight tonight. Will he be able to retain his WWF championship against The Rock tonight? And then when he walks to the back and then it stops and you got The Rock coming in. And look at The Rock. The Rock is trying to be the first time WWE champion, the first person in his family to hold the championship, the first person representing the Isle of Samoa to hold the championship. And then what happens? And this goes black, and then the glass would break, or do you smell if The Rock is cooking? And then The Rock would come out, but you just never see. They always skip that part from behind the curtain to where they sit in gorilla to where they come out. You would not be able to see that part. Now you get to see it. And then some. You get to see the world headquarters that WWE built across I-95, on the opposite side of I-95 in Stamford, Connecticut. That's something that we never got to see of the old Titan Towers. It's different now. Maria says, oh, no, whoa. Stu says, who gets Tristan out of retirement? Time. I'm retired because of time. I don't have time. The job that I work is super demanding. They don't give us time to do anything else. Time. If I had time where I can say, you know what? I had Saturdays and Sundays off, or Friday nights, Saturdays and Sundays off, I would go wrestle again. Or even if I had Friday nights and Saturdays off, I would go wrestle. I would. Now, I wouldn't be traveling all over talking about, yeah, you know, I'm in Texas today and I'm in Florida tomorrow. And no, I'm not doing any of that. I'd probably keep it local to the Northeast, have a little bit of fun and make a name for myself, or continue to make a name for myself. I would. But honestly, Stu, don't tell anybody. I like being the podcast guy as well, too. I like being the media network mogul guy, too. I went to a wrestling show maybe about 2-3 months ago in Queens. And I got asked, yo, bro, when you coming back? When you coming back? I told him the honest to God truth. You know what? I might never come back. But when I come back, let me tell you, I'm not going to be a character of myself. I'm going to be going out there having so much fun that you guys won't even imagine what it's like. Maria says, I think shows like Unreal is unhealthy for the long term in wrestling. It depends on the secrets to thrive.
Thank you.
Maria, you're right. There are still some secrets that they won't tell you on Unreal. Or let me rephrase this, Maria. There are some secrets that they still haven't told us yet in Unreal. For those of you guys who don't know, Maria's a real old school fan, right? And Maria remembers what wrestling was like before it was like what it was today, right? I might have got Maria mixed up with Cupcake. I apologize. But there are not many secrets to tell. There's only a handful of secrets that you don't know about the WWE, about pro wrestling. You understand you have an idea of how they book, right? You have an idea of, of where they train, how they train. But there's still certain things that you don't know. Like, there's still certain things you just don't know. Stu says, I like if they challenge you. If they challenge you to a match, who would it be to bring you back? If somebody was challenging me to a match, who would it be to bring me back? If someone was challenging me to a match in order for me to come back, I don't know. I don't know. I have been offered to come back and wrestle, and I just knew, time-wise, I didn't have enough time to get ready, because I'm not going to come out there and make a fool of myself. I'm not. It's either I'm going to do it right or I'm not going to do it at all. I didn't have enough time to do it right. Stu says, I thought the same, Maria, but I'm glad I watched it, especially the Lyra stuff. We're going to talk about it in a second. Stu says, Gorilla was never something I think of we get to see as much as we do. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Thank you guys for your comments. We don't get to see Gorilla. And something like that is so small. Like, oh yeah, they're talking about Gorilla. They don't get to see Gorilla position. What's the big deal with that? Because you don't get to see the war room in the White House. You don't get to see inside of the CIA building. There's not one place that I can think of that I've ever seen in the CIA building other than the front desk, where with the names of the people, or the people that the agents that were killed in action. The memorial, where you don't even really see their names. I can't think of one thing I've ever seen in there. And if they put that on TV, it'll be like, yo, that's crazy for me. When we look at Lyra Valkyria, let me tell you something. I did not like Lyra Valkyria. She didn't do it for me. I saw her as a stupid bird wings lady who came out there going, woo, woo. Like, to me, that's just a little bit too stupid for me. But being able to see Lyra in WWE Unreal, she's framed as ready, reliable, and she's right next to she's adjacent to greatness. I believe in Lyra. I have emotional investment in Lyra. When we're looking at shows like Unreal, what they're doing is that they're building emotional investment in not only the character, but in not only the personalities we see on screen, but the personalities behind the personalities. Lyra Valkyria, she's not positioned to replace Becky. She's positioned to be measured against the standard. Lyra Valkyria, she's not here to steal the spotlight. She's here to see if she belongs. Watching Unreal, and let me ask you guys to this. Do you guys have emotional investment in Lyra Valkyria? Does Lyra Valkyria feel elevated, or does she feel tested? Fernando says that he's not fully sold on Lyra. Maria says, The Miz, I want you to take out The Miz. Fernando says, I 100%, no, Stu says the Tristan versus The Miz would be great. Fernando says, I agree 100%, Maria, let's make it happen. Tristan versus The Miz. Look, if, being honest with you guys, being 100% honest, if they got Logan Paul and they got, BDE in TNA, and they got I Show Speed in the Royal Rumble, there's really no reason why I can't be there. I'm ahead of them. Not so much Logan Paul, but BDE and I Show Speed because I've wrestled longer than them. I've technically wrestled longer than Logan Paul, but Logan Paul's probably wrestled more matches than me in a small amount of time because I wrestled maybe once or twice a weekend. Logan Paul wrestled probably 2-3 times a week, depending on the week. Fernando says that he's not fully sold on Lyra. Stu says that Becky feud made Lyra. I agree. Right now, we're asking a poll, do you believe WWE Unreal is closer to being staged or 100% real or both staged and unreal? Right now, it's 50-50. Nobody believes that WWE Unreal is real. I think the name is in the title, Unreal. Let's take a look at Pat McAfee, right? Pat McAfee, that guy right here, he's the outsider. Pat McAfee is not framed as one of the boys. He doesn't even want to call himself one of the boys. I think Pat McAfee, look, Pat, if you happen to stumble on this, Pat, I'm telling you, you are one of the boys. Why? Because you're in the grind. You embody no days off. You're doing your show, then you're hosting college football, and then you're commenting in the WWE, doing color commentary, and then you got time for the ring? Y'all better put some respect on Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee deserves it. Pat McAfee's one of the boys. Pat McAfee, he's got the energy. He's got the crossover appeal. He's got that immediate connection. He doesn't live the grind as much as a wrestler does, but he understands the reward. There are people that don't watch. Don't let anybody bamboozle you, flim-flam you, or scam you. Everybody's seen wrestling at least one time in their life. Some people were fans that fell out of love with being fans. And there are people who don't watch wrestling anymore but know clear as hell who Pat McAfee is and go, oh, he's going to do that wrestling thing that I used to watch. Let me see what he does and fall in love with wrestling again. This is a formula that WWE's been using since WrestleMania 1, where you bring somebody from another part of entertainment and collide them with pro wrestling, hoping that you become a fan. Because I'll be honest with y'all, in case y'all don't know, and I'm going to teach y'all something right now. The WWE does not care about us.
Bing bang.
The WWE does not care about us. What I mean by why I say they don't care about us, they've already got our money. They've already got our time, which is why they have to keep changing the titles the way they look or adding new titles just to get more of our money. A lot of us say that we're not going to watch anymore, but we still watch. A lot of us say that we're not going to buy tickets anymore, but I'll be honest, when they came to New York a couple of weeks ago, I said, why the hell not? Let me look at tickets. It still wasn't within my tax bracket, so I wasn't going. WWE cares about the person who doesn't watch every single week. That's who they care about. That's who they want. And how do you get that? You get that by having people cross over from other genres of entertainment. That's why I collaborate with other YouTube people. Cheyenne Ortiz, good friend, I collaborate with him. Tyrell from the Nosebleeds podcast, I collaborate with him. You know why? Because there are people that watch his channel that like pro wrestling and say, oh, that guy over there talks about pro wrestling. Let me go see what he talks about. But there are people that live here on the Tristan Law Show, 830 Wrestling Network, and go, oh, Tyrell from the Nosebleed Show, he does sports? Let me go over there and see what he talks about. And you know what? It cross-pollinates everybody. It's the same exact trick that WWE is doing. If you're on YouTube right now and you're not collaborating with somebody that is adjacent to your niche, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I saw Tyrell from the No Speed podcast. I randomly watch other people's YouTube videos when they talk about wrestling to see what they talk about. Why? Because I want to see what they're doing better than me and what I'm doing better than them. And I like the way the sports presentation style of presenting pro wrestling that Terrell does. I messaged on his channel, bro, good video, we have to collab someday. And then about a couple of weeks later, he found a way how to find me. It's not hard to find me. If you don't know where to look, it might be hard. 830mg.com, you can find me there. TristanLawShowMedia@gmail.com, you can find me there. 973-826-0101, you can find me there. And he messaged me and I said, yo, bro, I like his style. Come in the channel and collaborate. I give everybody one chance. He was good. I liked what he did. I liked what he brought to the show. He's a good brother. And now that football season's over, I'm getting ready. I'm excited to be on his show. It's all about crossover. And that's what WWE's doing with Pat McAfee. It's just that they get to do that crossover often. You don't need Pat McAfee wrestling every single week. You need Pat McAfee wrestling when it matters. Did it matter for him to wrestle Gunther? I don't know. I could have lived without that match. The match wasn't terrible, at least from my memory. You know, maybe it was terrible and I phased it out of my memory. I don't know. But Pat McAfee, he's good for the crossover appeal. He's a larger-than-life character. That's where the energy comes from. It's immediate connection. When you turn on the channel, you see Pat McAfee or you hear that voice on WWE, you go, wait a minute, that's Pat McAfee? Let me go, oh, Pat McAfee's in WWE? Oh, let me see what he's talking about for a little bit. Pat McAfee doesn't represent the grind. He represents why the grind exists. He gets the pop without years in the system. Pat McAfee didn't grow up wanting to be a wrestler, went to pro wrestling school, you know, tried out for the WWE and then got an opportunity and now he's headlining WrestleMania. No, that's not Pat McAfee. No. Pat McAfee was a football player. He was a kicker. His career ran short. So what did he do? He went to go do what he did. He used his voice. The same way I use my voice. And then Pat McAfee gets the opportunity to wrestle in the WWE. You know what? You'd be a fool to not take it because sometimes they say opportunity knocks are this loud. If you miss the opportunity, that's on you. Pat McAfee, he validates WWE to the outside world, to the people that just watch fake sports like football. He's proof that connection can sometimes matter more than sacrifice. And here's the question I want to raise to you. If the pop, the reaction from the crowd is the goal, does WWE need everyone to suffer the same way to earn it? Let's go to the chat. Maria says that he shouldn't be considered one of the boys. I didn't like Logan Paul, but he's working out there. Come on, Pat. Wait, hold on. Let me try again. Hold on. Maria says he shouldn't be considered talking about Pat McAfee, one of the boys. I don't like Logan, but he is really working out there. Not Pat. Come on, Tristan. I would say Pat's one of the boys because he works hard. He has earned his stripes, in my opinion, that Pat McAfee can go out there and still put on a compelling show. At this stage in the game, it's not even about the money grab by putting Pat McAfee on the television. If Pat McAfee wasn't good, they wouldn't put him on television again to wrestle. When's the last time you've seen Michael Cole wrestle? I'll wait. Stu says, Pat's from my city. We love Pat. Fernandez says that Pat is trash. He's extremely annoying. Stu says, there's worse wrestlers than Pat. Come on. People must have not watched Pat in NXT. Pat McAfee is that guy. He was that guy. Pat McAfee worked for it. Maria says intermission. Quick one. That's why I'm out of breath. Woo. Stu says we might be getting Michael Cole versus Gunther at Mania. You stop that right now. Stop that right now. That is not funny. Nobody wants that. It's like Goldberg versus Gunther. It's the match that we know we didn't need, and they still get don't Stu. Stop it. The WWE might be watching this, and you might be giving somebody a good idea. Don't do it. Hey, Michael Cole, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, however you're consuming, you don't have to. I think you're doing a real good job at the announce table. Here is looking at episode 1 of season 2, the wrestling match structure, the episode, it mirrors a classic match structure, right? It opens the opening tone setter. It established the stars. We got the emotional stakes, but episode 1 didn't give us an unresolved finish. Like every episode of Unreal, it still leaves you wanting more, right? It's a term that we use in pro wrestling, and that term is less is more. Less is more is the term that we use in pro wrestling. If you can do 10, why not do 9? Now, it doesn't mean that you're being lazy. It just means that you're working smarter so that you still leave the people that when you come back next time, then maybe you give them the 10. Or maybe you give them 8, but you take that in the one from the last time and make that 9 to give it to them. They're not really giving us any big payoffs. What they're doing is to just manage it, the momentum is just running. Maria says, please, no, I'd rather drink bleach and see Pat versus Cole. Hot take, Maria. Maria, please do not drink anything that you're not supposed to drink. We want you here. Hot take, Maria, you are a part of the show. We don't want you going anywhere. And look, no Pat McAfee, no Michael Cole matches. We need Maria. Hashtag we need Maria. WWE, when you're watching that first episode, they didn't want it to end clean. They wanted you leaning forward. They wanted you to want more. They wanted to hook you, right? They wanted you to spend 5 hours in your day and binge watch that and come online and talk about it. I've seen so many other channels talking about all of season 2 in one bite. I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. We're going to talk about it little by little. We've got 4 more episodes that we've got to talk about, and we are going to continue that next week on Wednesday. That's what we are going to do. We're also getting ready for the Royal Rumble. I've got so many ideas and thoughts about the Royal Rumble. Do you understand that the WWE built an arena in the middle of the desert? They built an arena in the middle of the desert. And that's what we're going to be talking about this weekend. We're going to be predicting it. Should be me and Jess. We're going to be predicting it. We're going to be talking about the surprises that can come. So make sure you guys, if you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you got the notification bell so that you don't miss a show, Stu. Tell your friends. I know you guys got Twitter, X, whatever. Just share the show. You're on social media. When you're at work today, and you or you know that one wrestling fan, don't make this be a dirty secret. Ain't it more fun when all the homeboys can get some? I don't know. Tell your friends. Have them all join us here. Later on in the season, we're going to see Seth Rollins' injury. Right? Later episodes does confirm that it was worked. We knew that. We knew that already. And I think that reframes episode 1 completely because it's like a Mr. No Days Off. The guy had to work hard to keep the story going. Now, this isn't foreshadowing an injury. This is positioning Seth as the embodiment of no days off. That he had to walk around in his regular life on crutches, still pretending that he was hurt just so he could forward a storyline. Oh my God, is Seth Rollins really hurt? Oh, well, he's going to get his knee looked at today. Meanwhile, the guy's sitting at home going, ha, 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 ha. I don't know. I think that Seth Rollins is that guy. You see Seth Rollins' brain for wrestling, his aptitude for wrestling. WWE, they chose Seth Rollins to carry the philosophy of no days off. Granted, he's not the only one. He's just the one that we get to see on television. So let's just make sure we understand that. I'm not saying that Seth Rollins is the only hard worker in the WWE. He's just the one that they chose, him and his wife. That's who they chose. Mr. I'm gonna be the hardest worker in the room. That's Seth Rollins. His grind is not accidental. It's assigned. It's your mission if you choose to accept it. And for Seth Rollins, it was performance with a purpose. Knowing the injury is a part of the show, tells us that this episode isn't documenting reality, it's selling belief. If they can make us believe or doubt that Seth Rollins is really injured, WWE Unreal, I think it's a flim-flam. I don't believe WWE Unreal, which is the poll that I'm asking. Is WWE staged? Is WWE Unreal staged? 100% real or both staged and real? Right now we're deadlocked 50-50. The question that I ask myself is, looking at that episode, is how much real agency do Becky and Seth have, right? Like, I think they have a lot of agency to where they can advocate for themselves and say, you know what, we think that we're going to go ahead and be parents and go sit down. I don't think it's so much for Seth. I think so much more for Becky, because Becky was saying that she's perfectly fine sitting at home with her daughter, and I get it. But looking at Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, the question is parenting a boundary or is it branding? Where does reality stop and where does performance begin when we are looking at WWE Unreal? Answer those questions in the comment. I'm going to answer the last one for you. Where does reality stop and performance begin in WWE Unreal? Honestly, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy what they're giving us. Access doesn't automatically equal honesty. We are watching television. And we're going to be looking at episode 2 next Wednesday of season 2 of WWE Unreal. Season 1, it tells us a little bit about the philosophy. Episode 1 tells us a little bit about the philosophy. Episode 2 is going to teach us the cost. The name of that episode is Truth. We're going to be talking about R-Truth and him getting fired or not getting fired. I said some stuff around the time when R-Truth got fired, or did he not get fired? And that is what we're going to be looking at and discussing, right? Episode 2 looks a little bit at loyalty, value, and uncertainty. That enters the story now. Now that we understand what no days off mean now, let's talk about loyalty. Let's talk about value. Let's talk about uncertainty. This is now a part of the story. Episode 2 asks the question that episode 1 avoids. What does no days off actually get you? Episode 1 of WWE Unreal is not about wrestling. It's about belief. Belief in the grind, belief in the sacrifice, belief that the pop makes it worth it. And oh God, let me tell you, it's worth it so much that you guys don't even understand. Episode 2 is where that belief starts getting uncomfortable. Well, if you like what we did here, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Don't make the Tristan Law Show 830 Wrestling Network a little dirty secret. Thank you so much, Maria, Fernando, and Stu for hanging out. We'll be back this weekend for your Royal Rumble coverage. They're going to be in Saudi Arabia. We'll be talking about that a lot. I'm Tristan Law. This is the Tristan Law Show. And I see you next time.
Flashing red lights, driving at night, windowless ride, feel